Each year, Microsoft Research hosts hundreds of influential speakers from around the world, including leading scientists, renowned experts in technology, book authors, and leading academics, and makes videos of these lectures freely available.
Our next presentation will be given by Anoop Gupta, a distinguished scientist at Microsoft. Two important things about Anoop Gupta. One is he hired me here 16 and a half years ago. And the second one is that because of that, I know that he has an intense interest in education. He hired me to work on education. He started an education vertical here. He's been focused on education for most of his time at Microsoft. Anoop?
Thank you, Jonathan. Wonderful to be here. Sorry for the glitches, and we had to recycle the projector to get it all going. Wonderful to be here with an audience who is focused on not one but several of my passions, in fact. I am very passionate about education. I used to be a professor at Stanford for 11 years. I taught there, and since coming, one way or the other, I focused around education. A second thing for me is also within Microsoft, I have tried and do my best to play the role of champion for pen and stylus, and what we can do in terms of improving the interfaces, but also at a business and strategy level where we go and invest to make it a reality. Lots of studies from what latency and touch and many of the questions being asked, maybe in the Q&A we can go there. Today I wanted to focus on one of my latest projects that I have a lot of passion around, which involves education, involves pen, involves touch, which is around how do we make interactive online presentations very simple. If we look at some of the changes that are taking place on the education side, we are moving from a world which is around, much more an industrial age world of everybody learning in lockstep, much more a lecture-oriented environment versus blended online, moving towards mastery and personalized learning and pathways as we go, much more project-based learning and interactive learning, much more continuous assessment that is there. Online lessons that are created are forming a big part of it. They're not a exclusive thing. So whether you think about what is happening, because there are a lot of higher ed people here in terms of MOOCs and SPOCs and online learning, flipped learning is a big thing in K through 12 as you look at what is the best use of face-to-face time, limited face-to-face time that we have with students. It's best not used as just, lecturing, but interacting. So we think of a lot of different uses of making these online presentations very, very simple to create, whether it's for blended learning, as I've talked about, online learning MOOCs. But since we have a lot of researchers here, I'll talk about an interesting use case that I haven't seen this tool. We spend a lot of time, energy, money doing research, okay? And we spend a lot of time preparing presentations that we go to conferences and give. There's some number of people who attend, and then it is lost. And we travel to the next place maybe to give, but we never capture them as presentations. Those students are trying to do presentation. So there's a lot of uses if you look at it for students. It could be project reports, it could be storytelling, it is how you're practicing, you're gonna give your research presentation. If it was really, really easy to do, all of those use cases come around. And then if you look at it much more administrators for the K through 12, then professional development, leadership communications, all of those are very important. Peter Gale Harris from the Manteca School District and a good friend of ours, and I push him a lot on how all of the professional development is being done. So most of my talk, actually, I have very few slides. Most of it will actually be demos, really, that I'll do. So challenges that it's difficult to author. Often it becomes, using some kind of screen recording software and then using video editing tools to, bring it together. If you bring them together, it's very hard to add quizzes, polls, exercises, and if you do it, create such a rich thing, you say, where am I going to publish it? And if you figure out where you're going to publish it, then you say, I want to see, I shared it, what happened? It's very hard to get that particular data. So what Office makes is, one is it's an extension to PowerPoint. Okay, forget add-in or whatever that means. So it's an extension to PowerPoint that makes it easy to create lessons that have full animations, that allow you to ink, you can have your audio video narration, that allow you to put quizzes and polls, that allow you to put simulations. All of those things can be very easily pieced together. And I'll create a lesson in front of you right now. It's a free web portal, so there's a client-side piece, and then there's a cloud service piece. It's a portal where you can, that's the YouTube-like thing, where you can publish, you can share, and you can get the analytics associated with it. The third thing is, in any such thing, you need a player equivalent to the video player in some sense. So there's a player associated with it that is totally cross-platform, okay? And finally, what we give you is not a fixed thing. It is an extensible thing where people can go and create lots and lots of stuff. So with that as the introduction slides, I'm going to spend a fair bit of time trying to create. This is publicly available. You can go download it, all of you with pen. I see many, many Surfaces, Microsoft machines. You can download this, start creating when you go home. Now there are three pieces to Office Mix, okay? The first piece is that I'll show, and I'll show you in this order. The first piece is around what is the end user experience. So if your student is taking out, or your colleague, you've created something and published, what are the kinds of things they can do? I'll show that. The second thing is I'll show you how to create some such things. And then the third thing I'll show you is talk a little bit more about the portal and analytics. So the place where you get everything from is this URL, mix.office.com. You can download it right after the session in the evening and start creating. From there, what you do is you get to download the add-in from there. This extends your PowerPoint 2013 to allow you to do a bunch of fun things, okay? So what I'm going to take you through is a gallery, okay, where I'll show you a variety of lessons that people have created, interactive presentations. And these can get very fancy, or these can be very, very simple that regular people create. So here is one on Ohm's law, okay?
Hi, my name is James, and I'm curious.
So you can see there's audio, there's inking.
Lightning bolts, electric eels, circuit boards.
So the key thing is actually, it is PowerPoint in the back. So this is not a video. Although it seems like a video, this is not a video. This is really PowerPoint in the back, and only the audio and the ink is getting this thing. So you get all the fancy animations, but these are all just PowerPoint animations. It's not anything fancy that we are doing. Okay, you get all of the ink, etc., that is associated with it. So, that all works. You have a very nice visual table of contents associated with it, because when I'll show you authoring, everything is slide-centric instead of video timeline-centric. The whole authoring experience and the consumption. So, I have this thing, and I can go and jump around back to the slide if that's what I wanted to do. And then you can also embed videos right inside, just like in PowerPoint. So this is a high school video that excites them to do such things. Actually, the learning is better when more of your senses are engaged, as everybody knows, right? And so this is Ohm's Law simulator that is there. And if you were to go, here's a quiz, and I can try and take it, and it'll tell me it's wrong, and this is the right answer. Now, every interaction that I'm trying to do with this in the client piece is recorded in the cloud, and that'll give you the analytics. So you don't have to do anything, right out of the box. This will allow you to do that. Next, maybe let me try and show you something very simple, that a teacher did. So this is a K through 12 scenario. If I can just go and click here. So this is a math teacher. She's just creating something, and here she sets up the lesson objectives and using simple animations. So a much simpler thing than the Ohm's law. And here you can see how she uses animation and inking. Okay. So it might look fancy, but again, she has a quiz embedded right inside, and again, you have a visual table of contents associated with it. You can also create, so this is something I created, which talks a little bit about, so one of the, again, difficult things in videos, if you create, is how do you get hyperlinks and all those kinds of rich things there. So again, here, because it's PowerPoint based, if you have hyperlink, you can do internal and external links, so they just work. So if I come here, this is my table of contents. I can come here, I can jump back to online, I can go to summary and getting started. So all of these very hyperlinked lessons, etc., can be very, very easily created in the experience that you have. And I'll show you one more, and then we can, and people don't use it just for science. There's a lot of music things and other kinds of things that are there inside. So let me see, did I hit return? I will go and create something like the one that I'm showing you right now. This is just showing you the different kinds of features that we have inside, but I want to show you just, so you've already seen a quiz. You can insert Khan Academy videos inside, so those are all possible. I'm muting rather than. You can have Khan Academy exercises. So I'm just showing you a lot of interactables that you can do inside. You can check answer, you can say show hints, everything just works. You can do complex simulations. I will insert one and show you later on that you can do. You can have, fluid math, inking based stuff that, you can move around and you can do that stuff. You can put in, programming labs and put in simulations. So there's just a lot of different kind of stuff that you can bring in into a lesson. So you'll say, oh, okay, pretty fancy. How do I create one? Okay, so let's go into the creation part of it. So this is PowerPoint, okay? This is just a very simple deck, similar to the one I have. It has 3 animations, and then it is just blank, okay? So there's nothing fancy about this deck. When I install Mix, I get this thing called Mix tab, okay? Mix tab is the thing that gives me the ability to add audio, video, ink, quizzes, videos, screen captures, and allows me to both export to video, but what we will talk about is uploading to Mix, which is this cloud service and the fancy things that it allows you to do. So let's go and record slides. So here I have just, selected a camera, which is using this one, and that is the audio. Let me just use Studio Audio 2. Okay, so we have some audio and video that we are capturing. I have some choose colors, pen thicknesses, and I just hit this. You can see, Office Mix, a quick tour of features. I can come here, things that teachers can do, things that students can do, things that administrators can do, and then here are all the features that are available inside Office Mix. So I come and do this. So what it does is it takes my linear video actually and divides it on a per slide basis. Okay, so I can go and play this. And then here are all the features that are available inside Office Mix. I can go and I can actually delete this slide, turn the camera off because I want to do an audio only. audio only, here are all the features that are available inside Office Mix. So, suddenly what you have is now an audio-only version of the slide. So you get a lot of per slide editing capability. Oh, okay. The other thing I want to show you in terms of creation is that all of these things, because it's PowerPoint, so what it is leveraging really is all the beauty of PowerPoint. I could move this around here. I could make it smaller in size and put it right here. This one is too big. I can go here and make it smaller. I don't know. I'm going to just put it here. I can go and reorder slides. So basically, the final video is assembled just as your sequence of slides, the way you would normally do, and how the decks you can share. And this is, resides in your file. I can come here. I can say I want to add a quiz, and I can say multiple response poll, and I can, add. So I can go and say who is at WIPTTE. And I can have some Andy Van Dam, spelling it, whatever. I won't try and connect this. I don't know if Bill Buxton is here. We can add foo, and turns out, so you can create something like that. It is, check who all do are here. And then you go to an upload and publish process. So I will come here. I'm going to just check. So this is the part where it is taking the presentation and taking it to the cloud. Okay? And this is where you are putting it on a website. So I simply come here and we sign in and I say create. And basically within 30 seconds, I am going to have a mix that I could share with 20 people in my class, or I could share with 2,000 on the internet or 2 million in some sense, on the internet. So the deck is getting uploaded. Once the deck gets uploaded, a lot of fancy things happen to make it be totally scalable. So let's go and see. Okay, so this is show me my first mix. Did I click on this or not? So if I go here, this is where I can play. This is what we just created. And I just hit this. Hey. I changed the sequence of slides, if you remember, and then an audio-only version. I can come here, things that teachers can do. And then we had gone, this was a blank slide, and then we had added a quiz slide, and I can, select and submit whatever things I had chosen to do. So it's a very, very simple model to create. Another thing to think about is that your deck, in some sense, is your source code for the video presentation that you are trying to create. So at any point, you can go and come here, add another slide, add another drawing. So instead of showing you just inserting more kinds of things, I will just go and draw out here. Here's my very, very crude elephant. And if I draw it, when I close it, now this is part of the slide deck. And if I want it to appear here, boom, publish it, it's going to appear here. So if you're trying to share with other people what you have created, they can take it and, just the way we take a few slides from somebody, copy it over, you can do all of this kind of stuff right inside it. And as I was showing you here, there are a lot of different kinds of applications that are available to you by default. And these things, there's a store. So this is the general Office store that is there. And these things can be extensible in lots of ways to go and republish and manage that. I won't go into a lot more. Actually, one quick thing I want to show you before we go into a few other slides. And that is that, so if I go to my mixes, okay, so this is where I manage the mixes that I create. So I'm just going to my mixes, and there's a variety of things that I have. I think I will go to page 3. I wanted to show you the analytics. So let's see, I had created a mix switch. So basically we give you a lot of per slide analytics. We tell you how much time people spent on each of the slides. Oh, so, hold on for that. So here, let me take you. So here is a slide. This is a short deck that I did. So this is the by slides analytics, by visitors analytic, and by exercises. So for each slide, it tells me how many visitors, how many views, average time spent, things like that. It gives me information, each individual, what they did, and then I can click on any individual and understand what they did. I can also automatically go by exercises, and I can see how they answered each of the questions that is there. And all of this is exportable to Excel. So all of these analytics are automatically visible to you. So let me go back here and talk a few things. So again, the key thing is simple, familiar. If you know how to do PowerPoint, you can now start creating these things. Lessons, don't start from scratch, start from your existing decks. Adding interactivity, it's really as simple as clip art to go and do these things, share easily, and it's best of all, it's all free. A couple of other things. So two kinds of extensions here. So one is this set of apps that you saw. These are totally extensible. So we can get the larger community, whether it's college students, high school students, all it takes is basically HTML5 JavaScript skills to go and create these apps that can then be embedded. And we're working with lots of partners to do it, but you can do that. The second is the player itself is very flexibly controlled and skinned as you are trying to embed it. In fact, the whole thing is embeddable. So our notion is not that you necessarily come to our portal, just like YouTube is there. You can take a YouTube embedded video and put it in your portal anywhere else. We support LTI, Embedly, OEmbed. So there are thousands of places beyond Facebook, Twitter, SharePoint, Moodle, edX. You can, New York Times, you can go and embed these mixes inside those sites to do that. One other quick thing I wanted to just share about in this a little bit in terms of the directions we're going, and so we can leave. So we are also looking at, so I showed you one creation process, right, where I am in front recording my video, whatever else we do with the slides and in King to create interesting things. We are also working on this thing that we call post-mixing. The post-mixing is that you get some studio video. So just like there's a camera in the back that is not linked to the PowerPoint presentation I'm doing, but the video corresponds to that, I might want to merge those together, okay, to create a mix-like structure where I get the analytics, where people can jump around, people can pick slides and do things. And then live mixing is that what I'm doing right now itself gets recorded into. So live mixing is further away. But I'll show you a quick example of post-mix. There's this huge conference going on right now that Microsoft is doing called Build, okay? And so yesterday's keynote will also be available as a mix. So, normally what we do is you just take the video and you embed the video that is there. Once you do it as a mix, you have, but you also have a big table of contents that is there. And so, here you can say, Satya is going away, he's inviting. So there's a very nice kind of index that you have throughout. And, or you can say, oh, the fun things for me are the Xbox things. So, here Alex is talking about how HoloLens and holographic and so he talks about how you can study and things like that. So I wanted to show you just that there are many, many extensions that are possible as you go in with this. And so finally, all I would say is this is freely publicly available. You guys have the stylus. You guys have Windows. Get PowerPoint 2013. Probably most of you have. You can start creating, you can start sharing, get your graduate students to do it. When they practice, they have to go to a conference and they say, I want to practice my talk. Say, first send it to me as a mix. Just don't send me the blank slides, corresponding to it. Even when you're sharing just simply PowerPoint decks, you can take a blank deck without any audio video. This is a very nice viewer for it, and where you can share a read-only copy of a deck with your colleagues. Do your flipped classrooms, blended lessons. MOOCs is this. This also allows you to do video. So we would love for you to try it out. There's a lot of excitement around it and people who are creating it, and give us feedback. Okay, so we look to your feedback, and we are a very agile team to be able to respond to it and make it much, much more useful to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anoop. We have time for a couple questions.
Here.
I think the Office Mix feature is really cool. It's made me use PowerPoint a lot more than I have in the last couple of years. I really like that the screen recording's now baked into it.
Thank you.
I find that feature really useful.
Thank you.
It would be really neat if I could also annotate the screen recording. So
Okay.
if I could take another app,
Yeah.
load the video in, and then annotate that video, it'd make an even more dynamic tool.
No, thank you so much. We really appreciate the feedback. That is something we are definitely looking into it. But one of the design points that we have had for this, and this is not an excuse in any way, is we are very inclusive. So if you use Camtasia, let's say, to do something, you can put the Camtasia video inside and it'll work totally smoothly with the rest of it. So, where we are not perfect, or we haven't, so far in our young life, haven't been able to do that work, please use other tools, and we partner with those other tools. Yes?
So I might have missed this, but for the quiz part, does that all get collected somewhere? And then so if I am hosting the slides and my kids take the quizzes, do I see all the responses?
Yes. You see the responses. So the person who authors and shares, they are the owner, and they see the responses of the students.
You can sort them out.
You can sort them out. You can get them out in Excel and look at them there. Yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah, two questions. Does this work both with 32 and 64-bit PowerPoint?
Yes, pleise.
And second, can you use your Office 365 accounts for the students to log into the mix?
Yes.
Awesome.
Is it possible to get the same analytics but distribute things less broadly? So if I want to distribute something just to my class as opposed to the entire web, is there a way to do that?
So the way you control your sharing is you have the link, okay? And with the link, you can make additional requirements like, you have to log in to do it so you get the names, etc., or you can make it anonymous. You just send it to the people who you want it to, and then they'll respond. In fact, if somebody outside that group responds, you would see their name, and you say, something funny is happening. They shouldn't have shared the link.
Okay, let's thank Anoop again for a very concise presentation.